Welcome to episode 73 of my podcast, The View from the Crow's Nest. Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, I want to thank you for spending some of that time and some of your place listening to me prattle on. I hope that at some point in some episodes, maybe this one, who knows, that you'll get some value from it, or some tip or trick or hack or something that helps, or an idea that sparks your idea and your creativity. Hopefully you'll get that, but not always. Who knows? Because I don't plan these things out, as you probably know if you listened to them before. I just kind of share my thoughts of the day, really, and sometimes that's more for me as a reminder, and sometimes that's turning it into some kind of lesson for myself as much as anybody else who wishes to listen or maybe has that lesson, or needs it or wants it in that moment. But as I say, one little thing, if you've only just kind of started listening, I record all of my podcasts in Otter, otter.ai. It's a free app, and it transcribes as you're talking. And it's a brilliant app because of the transcription, you can search via text for anything that you've recorded into Otter, and it will find it and immediately cut to the point of the audio where that text is, so you can play it back in situ. So even if the transcription isn't quite right, you can hear it back and go, oh, okay, I know what I meant to say, etc. So that obviously is a really, really powerful way of taking notes or ideas, whether it's for a podcast or whether it's, literally just a meeting or just an idea that you had. And, the easiest way is obviously just being able to say it and say it naturally. So, otter.ai I recommend for, anything really. It's brilliant also for podcasts. And then once I've recorded it, the other great thing about Otter is it's really easy to export the audio recording, and I export it directly into an app called Anchor, which is, I think it's been acquired by Spotify actually, I'm not 100% sure, but it's again another free app for doing your podcasts. So really easy. And if you're thinking, oh well, the audio isn't very great, well that's because I'm using the hands-free, headphones with microphone that came with my phone few years ago, because the whole point of this podcast, kind of a refresher here, 73 odd episodes in or whatever it is, was that I wanted a way to record my thoughts, my ideas, and hopefully some tips, tricks, whatever. And I wanted to do it in a way that I wasn't going to have a barrier to entry of technology or anything like that. Like, I didn't want to put that psychological barrier in front of myself of, well, I can't record it until I'm in the proper environment, until I'm in my studio, until I've got my proper microphone. And so if you ever look up about doing a podcast, the first thing they say is, you've got to get the right microphone and all this. And, as a musician, as a producer, as an audio engineer, when I record myself, I know full well how important it is getting a very clear, very crisp signal from the microphone without any noise and background noise and interference. And that's great when you're recording music. But when you're just jotting some ideas down, well, truthfully, what matters more? Does it matter that you get in front of the right equipment, or does it matter that you get the idea down, you get the creativity out? And in fact, on this riff, I can now feel myself going into a direction which I completely didn't know I was going to go into, which is the idea of two things. One, a phrase I always say all the time: do what you can with what you have right now. So don't wait for the right time or the right equipment or the right environment. I am completely guilty of all three of those, but nonetheless, do your best not to wait for those things, because it stops you from starting, and there is power in starting. There really is, and if you carry that momentum through, that can push you much further than if you try and pre-plan everything and get everything perfect, and then you end up never starting. And the second part of that is something that a guy called Seth Godin, who's kind of a guru of marketing, he has a phrase about shipping, kind of just get it out there kind of thing. And in various different forms, I've heard that or read that over the years. And there's two different camps. One is, well, you shouldn't ship anything that is subpar. And of course, you shouldn't put anything out that is completely terrible, in whatever capacity or sphere that is that you're putting out as a musician. Therefore, you shouldn't put out subpar music, for example. As a business, you shouldn't release a new piece of software that doesn't quite work. Except, actually, that happens all the time. Whenever Microsoft release a new version of Windows, they release it with bugs all over the place, and then they very quickly get feedback from people and, improve the product, and then they release it to more people. I mean, they release it in stages. So, to a smaller group of people, then a bigger group of people, etc. And there are plenty of companies and creative or people that do this kind of thing. And for creative people, very often, you think that, oh no, it's not good enough yet, it's not good enough yet. And I'm really speaking from experience here. What that makes you do is stop your creativity, really. You stop your throughput of product, of ideas, and you bottleneck everything behind it's not ready because I haven't done X, Y, or Z. Whereas actually, for most people listening, they won't notice whether you recorded that guitar solo one more time just to get that take perfect. They won't notice whether you added in the piano line that you could hear in your head but haven't yet put down or whatever. And also, they won't notice so much that it hasn't got the gloss and the sheen of a radio version that's gone through, £5,000 worth of producing and mix engineering and whatnot. Because what really matters underneath everything is not having an idea. That's not the most important thing, but sharing the idea. That's the most important thing. To enroll others in your vision, whether that vision is literally an idea, it could be a political idea or what have you, or an idea to clean up the environment around your local beach, whatever, or whether it's a product idea, your music or story or a podcast or what have you. So really, if you're finding yourself not doing stuff because you don't feel like you're good enough, or you don't feel like you're ready enough, or you don't feel like you've got enough, the right gear, etc., then I urge you to start doing whatever you can with what you've got and put it out there. Because if no one's waiting for it, then you can't really go too wrong by putting it out there, because no one's going to hear it or see it anyway. If a few people are waiting for it, if you're close enough to them in terms of getting feedback and have almost a direct relationship with them, then they'll give you feedback and say, you know what, this could be improved or that could be improved. But most of the time they'll say, I'm really glad you put that out, because actually that was cool, I enjoyed that. And as you get this feedback, as you improve your own experience and your own skills, then you'll naturally be improving craft. And when you improve your craft, obviously things will get better, how you do it, etc. So that's a completely random kind of riff that had nothing to do with my day today, which normally these podcasts are kind of a reflection on my day and ideas that came to me during the day, but this 7.5 minutes has got nothing to do with that. But as you can see, that's where we get to when I ramble on, in the famous Led Zeppelin words. In terms of my day today, I woke up really late, man. I mean, I didn't fall asleep till 1. Couldn't really sleep so early last night, but that was fine. Had a lovely day off yesterday. It was my one day off of the week, and we had a really good family day out, and I guess I was relaxed and blah, 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 and slept late. So I got up really late and did not feel guilty, and then chilled, had a nice leisurely brunch because it was way gone breakfast. And by the time I got to work, it was probably about midday or something, so really late. And normally on a Monday I would, in fact, and as I did today, but the first thing I do is kind of admin and financial admin, particularly make sure that people are getting paid that need paying and all sorts of things like that I've replied to, ID checks that's needed by this bank or whatever, all that stuff. It all takes time and there's always something. So by the time I did that, we were getting towards like mid-afternoon. It's like, whoa, dude, you're really not done too much today. But it's good to get on top of all of that. It's good to get that sorted. And what's really cool is the team, the Audience Ninja team for my digital services and marketing agency, are really kind of firing now and getting stuff done. And that's just so cool. I mean, we're only in the we're only started the 4th week now. And, they're hitting the ground now. And it's really cool because things are getting done without me needing to micromanage and get in everyone's way. And so that's super cool. And that's obviously allowing me to start looking at the bigger picture, looking at other projects, looking at other things that I really want to do or that need doing. And so that's really exciting. And I think that's pretty much my day. I mean, I worked until about 8 o'clock this evening. So, I did put in the hours once I started working. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, I wanted to do, as always, there's more I wanted to get done but didn't get around to doing in the day. So I never feel like I really, or very rarely do I feel like, yes, I smashed it that day. But again, I guess going back to my own point earlier, now I'm going to make it to myself, ship, get stuff out there and iterate, improve it bit by bit, but get the work done and move on to the next piece of work. That's the only way, really, you ever get something done, whatever it is, whether it's building a house or whether it's building a business or whether it's building something creative like a story or a screenplay or whatever. It's laying one brick at a time, getting one bit done, move on to the next bit, and just work the process and trust in the process. And so on that note, 10.5 minutes into this ramble, I wish to say thank you very much for listening. If there was anything useful, if there was anything that you want to know more about or anything, then just let me know on Twitter @RomeoCrow. As always, would love to hear from you, and I will bid you a fabulous day. Toodles, bye.